Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Dr. Delirium and the Edgewood Experiments. And this is a new documentary focusing on the investigation into Edgewood, which was a place where they did a lot of experiments on soldiers during Vietnam, testing crazy, weird, hallucinogenic drugs on them to try to help out the war effort. And this documentary is coming to Discovery Plus, and it basically has all these stories. And it has the doctor, the scientist who is in charge of all these experiments. That one of the biggest selling points of this is you actually get to hear like his last interview and directly from him. You know, he doesn't say it all. He still shirks a lot of things. But it is a compelling, interesting look into this person and what they potentially did or not do. But what I find interesting is the approach that they take to tell this story. And it's this investigative journalist and a group of other investigative journalists and like a chemical historian sitting in a round table with intense music, cameras spinning around the table as they're just like asking each other questions. I'm like, it's a little cheesy. It does get really cheesy, and it gets less cheesy when they have round tables with some of these actual soldiers that went through this because, you know, it's them telling their stories and you can feel it. And, you know, there's a lot of conspiracy theories thrown around here, and who doesn't love some crazy conspiracy theories? I love them more before they became, like, actual political ideologies and have taken over our political discourse. I'm just like, this used to be more fun, wasn't it? And I feel like that's hard. At least, like, this is something, like, going back and, like, I wouldn't put it past the government to do any of these things. And all these testing drugs on people, trying to find new weapons, CIA involved, ex-Nazis, and just, like, it's an interesting and compelling story. And whether that's the true narrative or it's a lot simpler than that, it's still crazy, you know, like the government doing these kinds of things to people, and it is a compelling story. There's compelling ideas here. I do think they take a little overly serious and quote-unquote intense way of looking at it and presenting it that comes off being cheesy unintentionally. And, you know, they could have, you know, cooled it down with like the we're investigative journalists, but you know, it's like there are great archival footage that they utilize. I feel like that adds some personality to the telling and narrative structure of this documentary. I just feel like this comes off feeling like something you'd watch like a thrown together like conspiracy theory show on a streaming service instead of like this real investigative documentary that's going to have a lot of weight to it. And not to say that this story and their investigations don't bring a lot of great evidence, because honestly they do. It's just a matter of presentation. And, you know, it comes off as being kind of, okay, this was crazy. I see what you're doing here. Instead of like, oh my God, how are we doing something about this? And, you know, I think the most important piece of this is having the soldiers being heard in it. And I do still think this is definitely worth checking out because, like, this is too crazy to be fiction. And you should really check out this documentary when it pops up on Discovery Plus on June 9th. But those are my thoughts on Dr. Delirium and the Edgewood Experiments. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.